You beat the Raptors by 50 the other night over Christmas. Like, this was, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, that was, and they did okay in the first quarter. After that, I mean, you're watching Grady Dick hit step back 3-pointers in your face. R.J. Barrett. This team used to take pride in its defense. I don't recognize that team anymore.
No,
I really don't. Guys are blowing by you. Guys are getting easy layups. Guys are turning the ball over and going back in a fast break the other way. Uncontested. And that was going on all night.
The Porzingis was trying to set a pick for like Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday threw it, and Porzingis was like, wait, I was setting a pick. Why'd you throw it? And it went right out of bounds. At times, it was borderline embarrassing.
Ugly.
Like hideous for a team that is, we are what, 3 months? How far are we into the season? 3 months ago, we were talking about, could this be the greatest team of all time, the greatest Celtics team of all time?
No. This is halfway through the season. The Celtics have played 40 games. There's 82 games in the season. We are at the halfway point right now.
They're not very good.
No.
Not very good. And I don't know how we got here. And this is, I love these topics because I don't think there's an answer. I don't think we can speculate. The players are speculating themselves. They're starting to sound like Bruins a little bit, by the way.
They are.
Their post-game comments.
The finger pointing's next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And is it, coaching is involved. Style of play is involved. Fit. Oh, we haven't been together. Oh, it's only been a certain number of minutes, and that sways the measurable. I don't need advanced analytics to tell me, A, they're not very good, and B, they're not very fun to watch. They're not an enjoyable basketball team to watch right now. They're not shooting overly well from three-point range. Your superstar of all superstars, who's supposed to be the face of the NBA potentially right now because he won a title and he's about to take the baton from LeBron, right?
Yep. Sure.
Scotty Barnes was mocking him.
Yeah.
Doing the high school clap, I'm going to play defense on you. And Tatum, he showed him like a high school player, took it to the rim, and then was blocked by the front of the rim on a dunk attempt.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
That was ugly.
To me, that was sort of symbolic of who they are right now. They still think they can toy with the mouse, but the mouse is batting the cat around right now. Like Tatum thought, oh, you're going to get in my face? I'm Jason Tatum. I'm just going to take it down the lane and that didn't go how I wanted it to.
No.
It's awful right now.
And when they kick it out, they're not hitting their threes like that anymore.
Nothing.
Almost every player's three-point percentage has gone down, except I think it's Porzingis and Pritchard. That's it. Everybody else is tailing off.
Every month, Tatum's has gone down. He's below 30% now.
Yeah.
29% for Jason Tatum. Remember when we put to bed the shooting concerns about Jason Tatum because what did he do? He got it lower or didn't get it as low or whatever remember those videos making the rounds or whatever he was doing? I'll be honest. It was one of those Vince Wilfork redistributed his weight things. I didn't really see it. I didn't really see how he fixed his shot, but I see the results. There's a scoreboard and there's a stat sheet.
He's back up over 30 for the month, by the way. It's up to 31 now.
Oh, nice.
Because he was 3 for 9 last night. So there you go.
Wow.
By the way, I know why you're going after Jason Tatum early enough.
Because we're going to avoid Jaylen Brown.
Because Jaylen Brown looked like he was, I don't know what the hell that was. That was the worst game I think I've ever seen him play.
It was probably up there. I don't really keep track of these. They're so few and far between, it's hard to remember them.
Sure.
You know what one really? But there was one time
he's having a tough month. By the way, Jaylen Brown. While we're talking about guys having tough months, he's having a rough one.
Yeah,
he's averaging about 18 points a game this month.
Do you want the spin zone?
Sure.
So the spin zone is the reason the Celtics suck right now is because Jaylen Brown isn't playing well. You're learning yet again that Jaylen Brown.
I thought Jaylen Brown doesn't ever not play well. It's so few and far between.
No, but he isn't. Yeah. But and you're learning right now that the straw that stirs the drink. The Eastern Conference MVP, the NBA Finals MVP is Jaylen Brown, and when he doesn't go well, they don't go well. I don't know if anybody will buy into that, but that's the argument, and I'm sticking to it.
I honestly don't have a huge problem with that argument because I do think this team, without the two of them going, and I didn't think this at the beginning of the year. They started off the year 21-5. Since then, they're 7-7.
Yikes!
In their last 14 games, it's a 500 team for the last month plus. Like that's not great. That's not any type of stretch anyone was expecting this Celtics team to have this year, and I'm surprised by it. I'm disappointed, obviously. I think everybody is. But that thing last night, getting dog walked in the fourth quarter by Jakob Poeltl and the Toronto Raptors.
He was unbelievable.
Are you serious? He was like Hakeem Olajuwon out there.
He really
was unbelievable. He didn't miss a shot.
Nope. No. They and that's a team, we do need to remind people, that's a team that isn't trying to win, really.
No.
They want flag.
Right.
They're doing whatever the slogan is going to be in Toronto to get flag. Fail for flag. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing right now, and they beat you. They beat you actually pretty handedly. From start to finish, they controlled the game.
Yeah.
There was one run. So they went up I want to say it was like 13-2 Toronto. Then the Celtics closed it, took a lead. There was a couple runs, like 10-point runs, back and forth. But for the most part, that game was played on the Raptors' terms against the Boston Celtics, the greatest basketball team in the history of the NBA, with so many players that our boy Scal, his argument is they're too good.
Yeah.
They're too good. When they're starting fives on the floor, they're bad because they're too good. So Mazzulla has to start playing the, what do they call it? Stay ready crew.
The stay ready crew, right, yes.
Well, like, what are we talking about here? That makes no sense to me. You're so good that you lose. Is that how that works?
Basically, yeah.
You're so good. Your starters are so good, you should play your backups?
Yes. They're so good that you can't play them. Like, they're too good. And when they're too good, you can't have that. You can't have that happen.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Especially against the Toronto Raptors. And yes, the Celtics only led in this game very briefly. They led at the end of the first quarter, early in the second. They took the lead back in the second, then very briefly again in the third.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, that was it. The Raptors had them at arm's length for almost the entire rest of the game. That's preposterous. I'm sorry. Like, if this wasn't part of a bigger pattern, then I may be able to look at it and say it's a bad night. It's not just a bad night. That was a bad night on Friday against the Kings. That was a bad night against the Pelicans. They got lucky. They won that game. And they've had other bad nights other than that, going back a couple of weeks now. And it's become a regular thing. And I'm not sure what Joe Mazzulla is doing about it. I'm not sure what these guys are doing about it. I don't know how much urgency there is right now to fix it, because I think these guys still are pretty pleased with themselves despite the results lately. And it's because the rest of the Eastern Conference, outside of Cleveland and maybe the Knicks, aren't really catching up to them yet. So that's, they still have reason to be like, yeah, we're fine. Everything's fine. It's not fine.
And that's the question I asked Scal yesterday that I feel like he talked me in circles and didn't answer. Mazzulla seems like he...
A lot of Scal critique here already in the show.
I didn't think it was his greatest hit yesterday, if I'm being honest.
Your close personal friend.
My good friend Scal, yeah.
Yeah, you two can be hanging out now that you don't have to... The show doesn't get in the way.
We're going to talk so much smack about you when we're hanging out over at the Garden.
I'm not a hoop head like you guys. I'm not a hooper. I'm not watching those late-night West Coast games on NBA TV and all that stuff you guys do.
I'm definitely doing that.
But Mazzulla keeps talking in, I don't want to say positive ways, but like... He says things like, we have to appreciate the journey, and it's not going to be easy, and that's our responsibility. All these words. Your basketball team's not playing well. And at some point, doesn't he need to do something about it?
Yes.
Like, instead of just observing from afar and sort of putting it in perspective and playing cute videos for Jason Tatum when people are making fun of him, and
what happened to the psycho? Like, what happened to crazy Joe Mazzulla?
Do a jiu-jitsu somersault and kick somebody in the face.
Right. We haven't seen crazy Joe Mazzulla since he went after that ref, and that was going after the ref.
Right.
I know you love your guys. I know that you love them all and all that, but you got right.
Tell them they're getting punked
every time. If you're there and in everybody's face when things are going great, it's a little easier to stomach, but you have to be able to face harsh realities right now, and the harsh reality is the Celtics are kind of falling off.
They're a mediocre basketball team that's losing to bad basketball teams.
Yeah.
That's their reality right now, and they can't shoot the three. I will say there were portions of that game, this is a total side entertainment note, where they, I think, realized they couldn't shoot threes anymore, and they started like Tatum, I think, at one point did it, posted up, and they almost had like an old school cut to the basket, like a give and go, and I was like, this isn't my Celtics then. Was this Princeton? We're running like old school offenses, and I kind of liked it.
The old Pete Carroll bounce pass offense.
Yes, that's what it was. It was bounce passes, layups, cuts, and I was like, is this what we're doing? But there wasn't enough of it, and I do think some of it goes, we're going to have the same debate. So Jason Tatum is Jason Tatum, correct?
He is. I cannot argue with that.
Well, you argue with me a lot sometimes.
I can't argue that Jason Tatum is not Jason Tatum. I cannot make that
argument. Is he going to scream at the team?
No.
Okay. Does somebody need to scream at the team, you think, potentially coming up here?
Yeah, I'm just not sure who.
That's my point.
Derek White's not
not the way he played last night.
No, he
talking about having their worst game of maybe ever. Derek White had a pretty terrible game last night.
Holiday, I mean, he's a veteran.
So doesn't it have to be Mazzulla?
Yeah.
I mean, and does he have that in him? You're right. He's supposed to be crazy, wacky, zany, do anything, doesn't care, doesn't give an F kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, he's going to need to do something. Because some button needs to be pushed that isn't being pushed right now with this bad. Human nature is taking. I also think that's getting a little old. I think we're giving them a little too much credit for, they're not really trying.
They're bored.
Human nature, they're bored. No, they're not good right now.
Right.
They're not a really good basketball.
They're not a dynasty yet either that can get bored.
No.
We're in the middle of a stretch of NBA era where it's a new champion every year.
Right.
You can't get bored. You want to be something special. You want to go out there and separate yourself from these other one-off winners. Then you have to do the work, and they're not doing it.
And that opportunity is still there. That's the other thing. I don't want to say I'm overreacting. This is the regular season. If they win a title, we'll never talk about any of this crap again.
Exactly.
Oh, you finished second in the East, and you were 7-7 in 14 games in January. No one will ever reference that.
Won't matter.
But
because that happened before with LeBron's Cavs, with the Heat.
Everybody, sure.
There were times where they didn't win the East, and they had tough stretches, and they rested guys, and they were like the third seed or something like that. And you were like, well, they're still going to be there in the finals, and they're still going to be going up against Steph and the Warriors because that's just the way it was. But they didn't always run the table, but you didn't care because it was dynasties. It was two dynasties going at each other. You're not a dynasty yet.
And this team, the defense is one thing. You're right about the defense. And that I would put under the umbrella of effort, complacency, human nature. Okay, you didn't want to bring it every night on the defensive end. Okay, I get that. We'll flip that switch when we need to, blah, blah, blah. They're not shooting well. When you shoot, do you half-ass a shot? You know what I mean? Like, if you shoot, I feel like you shoot for it to go in.
I mean, yeah.
So
I know you're not a hoop head, but I think they're all trying to get the ball.
So then how does effort make Tatum and Brown go a combined, 7 of 25 on field goals? Are you saying they're not trying to shoot well? I think they're trying to shoot well.
I think they are. Everybody's trying to shoot well.
So they're not good right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. They're having bad nights.
But I think offense, there's effort on offense beyond just shooting or not shooting
well. No, I know, but
well.
when you just miss a mid-range jumper, did you not try? Are your legs tired, I guess? Everybody will say that. If you shoot poorly, it's automatically your legs are tired.
Sure.
Sometimes
it's not even that. It's judgment, Did you take a good shot? Did you pass the ball, make the extra pass? Did you shoot with a hand in your face? Did you shoot too early into the shot clock? There's a lot of different reasons. But, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that's a tougher one for me to just chalk up to complacency, sleepwalking through the regular season. That doesn't make you shoot poorly, and they're shooting poorly right now. And that's something that I think you want to nip in the bud if you can. That's the Tatum thing now. We're saying the bad shooting now we're going on what, 8 months?
Right,
9 months of bad shooting. That's a pretty big sample size.
I don't know if I'd call it bad shooting because it's still, as a team, they're around 36%.
So what about Tatum though?
Tatum's falling off, right?